We're live now? Inshallah. Sure? Everybody live? Type. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillahi amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You have a question, Ahmed? Okay. Question says, is the narration of Khadija radiallahu anha being much older than the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam being much younger than her a baseless story? We have to have a few ground rules that are very, very, very important. And the first ground rule is that وَلَن تَرْضَى عَنْكَ الْيَهُودُ وَلَا النَّصَارَى. Allah says the Jews and the Christians will never be pleased with you حَتَّى تَتَّبِعَ مِلَّتَهُمْ, until you follow their way. Whether that means you apostatize from Islam, denounce your religion, your language, your culture, or partially follow their way. So Allah tells us, and who is more truthful than Allah? As He says in the Quran, who can be more truthful than Allah? That they would never be pleased with you unless you follow them. So, why would someone say this, that this is baseless? Or that the Prophet ﷺ married Aisha at such a young age? Or this battle and this and that and so on and so forth. In most cases, not all, but in most cases, it's not based off of someone who's jealous upon the deen and scientific knowledge and factual information. In most cases, it's said because a person is afraid, scared, and embarrassed in front of the kuffar. And he wishes to take an apologetic approach to sirah, to aqidah, to jihad, to politics, in most cases. Why didn't the Prophet marry Aisha at such a young age? It's not correct. She was 18, so because what the kuffar say of pedophilia. The Prophet ﷺ married her at a young age. The Prophet ﷺ, he saw it in a dream. The Prophet ﷺ, his favorite wife was Aisha. So therefore we have to change that. That can't be right. He was 40, over 40, and she was 9. Because of the Jews and the Christians. And the sad part about it is, the people that you're trying to apologize in front of and curry their favor and sit at their table spread, not even sit at their table spread, but perhaps they'll throw you a piece of meat on the floor to pick up under the table. Their history is full of shame, disgrace, horror, and the list goes on. The things that they have done to establish their modern, secular, first world countries. And if you don't believe this, then read history. And not the hidden illegal books, the books in the dungeon, in the chest, the Barnes and Noble commercial books, the books that are out there, that are filtered. Read how this was established, how they got this war, this country that was colonized, this king, this one. Read. And then you'll see who is the one that's supposed to be apologizing and distorting and twisting their history. Wallahi, it's one of the most amazing things in 2018. A murderer comes into the room and his hands are dripping with blood. A person comes into the room, he's swatted a fly or a mosquito, and he's apologizing to the one with the blood on his hands. Oh, it was a mosquito, it was biting me. They carry a disease, the female mosquitoes bite, so on and so forth, malaria, this disease, so I had to, kill it. And this person's hands are dripping with blood. Ajab, yani, it's utterly amazing. If you're talking to somebody, people that are clean history, respectable, honorable, integrity, people with the prestige and integrity, then that's a different story. So don't say anything about murder or violence or terrorism or pedophilia or Islam spreading by the sword. Not you. Not you. Someone else can say that, but not you. Your entire history is based off of hypocrisy. It's based off of the right to rule, the right to control and conquer and dominate for no other reason except for race, ancestry, the right of discovery. We came to this land, even though you were there first, we have the right to take it over because of the crucifix and because of the color of our skin. This is the history of the United States and many, many other countries in the world as well. So this is something that we cannot forget. We cannot forget that, all right? That's first and foremost. Secondly is, when you say that something is weak or something is baseless in the seerah, that's fine. If you're a student of knowledge, or if you're a scholar, someone that you want to discover the haqq, but you must now apply that to all other stories in the seerah. Your favorite story, this battle, this incident, this famous thing in Tafsir ibn Kathir. When you sit down and read and study the asanid, you may find a story may not have an isnad, or it's totally weak. So be ready to apply that scientifically all across the what? The board. Thirdly, is that in the science of a seerah, there may be something which may not be the most authentic thing. But if it's well known, well established, widespread, passed down and handed down generation after generation among the ulama of seerah, then oftentimes that in the shuhra tughni an al-isnad. The fame of a thing, it does what? It allows it to dispense from an authentic chain of narration. Oftentimes. What? Oftentimes. And the story of Khadija radiallahu anha and the Prophet ﷺ's service to her and how she was impressed by his impeccable character is well known. Is well known. So, if the Prophet didn't marry Aisha at 9 years old, he married at 18 years old. According to their modern values, 40-year-old, 43-year-old man marrying an 18-year-old woman is called what? Huh? No, you won't call it pedophilia, but it's still what? It's looked down upon. Without a question. You say he's a cradle robber. A 45-year-old man who's a leader. Huh? He's a what? A leader. Can he marry an 18-year-old bride, Sheikh Amin? How would they look at you if you married an 18-year-old sister? The people. No question. So where are you running from? If she wasn't 9, she was 18. That's still what? Looked down upon. Everyone understand this? So if she wasn't 9, she was 18. And how many wives did he have? What man would have 9 wives, 11 wives, and concubines, and this and that? What? He's lustful. He's this and that. You can never, ever, ever leave their harm and their annoyance. Everybody clear on this or not? Khadija radiallahu anha was much older than him. He was much younger than him. Why did he marry a woman that was older than him and had more money than him? Oh no, that's baseless. Okay, well, how old was Khadija then? Was she a widow? Was she his age? Where you can run, but you can't hide from the malicious slander and controversy of the envious kuffar. So this is a very important thing for us to never ever forget. And Allah clearly tells us, He says, وَلَتَسْمَعُونَ مِنَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ وَمِنَ الَّذِينَ أَشْرَكُوا أَذًا كَثِيرًا. Indeed, you will hear much annoyance, أَذًا كَثِيرًا, much annoyance and abuse from those who have been given the scripture before you and from the mushrikun. They will annoy you. They'll harm you with their tongues. They'll slander, they'll lie, they'll invent, they'll propagate, they'll wage war against you ideologically. So Allah tells us this in the Quran, And Allah knows best.
Question from online. Initials OA from Riyadh, KSA. Assalamu alaikum Mufti. In your chains, FMF, you mentioned about the danger of self-taught people when it comes to dawah. However, in another video, you said some self-taught people gave all types of things to the ummah.
Tayyib. Alhamdulillah.
That's it.
Tayyib. Questions coming from Riyadh, KSA, Saudi Arabia. It says in your FMF called Chains, you mentioned about the harms of self-taught people. And then where else? We said in another what? Another video? In another video we mentioned how some self-taught people contributed to the ummah. Tayyib. Jazakallah khairan. As you have provided the source of the first sentence, we ask you to humbly provide the source for the second, where we actually said that some self-taught people contributed to the ummah. Not saying that we didn't say this, but keep the consistent style, inshallah. So, there lies no doubt that both of these statements, I believe, are correct. Self-taught people, in general, can pose a harm to Islam and to the Muslims. And self-taught people, from another aspect, in general, can pose a benefit to the Muslims and to Islam. It depends on who it is and what they say and what they're contributing. So we are not against someone being self-taught and learning and knowing that which is correct who couldn't learn and study formally. Who couldn't learn and study what? Formally. And we are not against the fact or the reality that you can learn something by yourself. If I was in Medina for 11 years, do you honestly think that everything that Allah taught me, I got from Sheikh Abdul Muhsin al-Abad or from the professors at the Islamic University? Of course not. That's not just 11 years of you sitting and studying and taking tests. That's 11 years of you doing what? Sitting in the what, Abdul Qawi? In the library, reading for hours and hours and hours out of the day. That's 11 years of debating. That's 11 years of listening to lectures and tapes of scholars that died before I was even overseas. So there's nothing wrong with being self-taught. But there's a type of self-taught. Someone who didn't have the ability to study formally, or you study formally and you also teach yourself on the side. And you make sure that you've evaluated, or you've been evaluated and your knowledge has been checked and your understanding has been checked. Everyone clear through the formal study. Everyone understand this or not? So someone that has no teacher oftentimes poses a threat and a harm to Islam and to the Muslims. It doesn't have to be about knowledge either. It could be just about character and conduct. You have no master, huh? Ronin, right? Masterless samurai, right? How does a person behave? Someone that's just reckless. A gun for hire. The one who pays me the most is what? There's no doubt about that. You have a teacher, someone who has taught you and educated you and nurtured you. There is supposed to be instilled in you a certain level of humility and respect for knowledge. And if you don't believe this, then look at the Dawah scene today. And hopefully I won't have to mention one's name tonight, but we will call our names if we have to. How people who are self-taught, you find them the biggest of chatterboxes. They talk, they run their mouths, they talk about people, they slander people shamelessly. And they have no respect for knowledge. How dare you open your face about somebody that was overseas for years and you were in the UK eating fish and chips? How dare you open up your face? No person who studied overseas and benefited from their knowledge overseas is going to disrespect that person. I don't like you. I don't agree with you. But you were over there for 20 years. And I was only over there for 3 years. I starved. I got sick. My wife left me. My kid, I had a miscarriage. I know how it was 3 years in Yemen or Medina. He was there for 20 years. I ain't going to say nothing about you. I'm not going to say nothing about you out of the sheer respect. But I didn't study anywhere. I didn't sacrifice. I didn't go anywhere. So because it's easy. You don't have no time in. You never earned any respect. So when someone is self-taught, they have no teacher, they have no formal studies, they have no formal time in, they have a lack of respect and an ultimate amount of arrogance. Wallahi, it is utterly mind-boggling how a total jahil, juwayhil, who has not formally studied, is supposed to be a leader of people and the leader of Salafis in the West. And this person has no formal studies. And brothers who do have formal studies, they get on their hands and their knees and they walk behind this person and lick his feet. Wallahi, I cannot comprehend it. You have a degree from the College of Hadith, and you listen to this ignorant fool run his mouth, and he never even studied it anyway. He can't barely speak Arabic. Wallahi, it's something that doesn't enter into my head. This is from the harms of a person being self-taught and not knowing their place. This is from the greatest harms of being self-taught, is that you don't know your restrictions. You don't know your what? Your restrictions. But if you were taught formally, oftentimes, not all the time, but oftentimes, you know your restriction. You have humility because you've actually sat with people of ilm. And not just on umrah. We're not talking about that, huh? I want to make umrah. I made umrah. Huh? I sat in the Sheikh Fulan's house. We drank tea and ate dates on umrah and asked him some questions. La. We're talking about you studying with him a book, a text. Everyone understand this? When I was younger, and this is one of the most inspirational things that happened to me when I was younger. At my local masjid, there was an older brother, a speaker, I won't mention his name. I wanted to study Arabic with him and study the deen with him. So he had a khutbah, and the name of the khutbah was called The Prophet's Way. All right? So I'm listening, I'm in the house listening to the khutbah. So I told my older sister, listen to Brother Fulan, listen to the khutbah. So they said, he's not a student of knowledge. I said, yeah, he is. He studies, he knows Arabic. He said, he ain't a student of knowledge. He said, he didn't eat eggs with the sheikh. He didn't eat eggs for breakfast with the sheikh overseas. That's a real student of knowledge. put this tape into the tape player. This brother from overseas who graduated, translating for one of the scholars. He said, that's a real student of knowledge. He was in Medina. He was overseas. Wallahi, that had an impact on my mind. Like, wow, I could go overseas and eat eggs with the sheikh and actually study and not just rambling and talking in America. And alhamdulillah, shortly afterwards, a couple years later, I graduated from high school and I went overseas. Everyone understand this? So there's a difference here. You go and you make umrah, or you call a sheikh on the phone. It's not the same as you living in Saudi Arabia, living in Yemen, living in Egypt. Everyone understand this? And which is rats and scorpions. Everyone understand this? And you get sick in the hospital with food poisoning, and you're still studying and reading. That's a student of knowledge. I just don't understand how the people have no shyness. You didn't study nowhere, and you have authority and power over people. It's just amazing. So that's the first problem. The second problem is that people who are self-taught oftentimes, they memorize something, they read something, they hear something, they translate something, but oftentimes they don't have the proper understanding of it, the proper application of it. Everyone understand this? The proper application of it. Everyone understand this? They have half of it, or they'll say it incorrectly, they'll mispronounce it, and then they'll pass it on to someone who passes it on to someone. And then 50 people now are all quoting the hadith wrong. 50 people are now mispronouncing this statement and having a total backwards misunderstanding. Al-waladu lil-firash. The hadith says the child belongs to the bed. In America, a brother has a daughter from zina before he or she was a Muslim, and they say, oh yeah, that's the child of the bed. And that's the exact opposite of the understanding of the hadith. Al-waladu lil-firash wa lil-ahir al-hajar. The child belongs to the bed, and the fornicator gets stones. Meaning, a man sleeps with a woman on his bed. Meaning that is his wife or his right-hand possession. And the son, the daughter is attributed to the owner of my house. Not in a brothel. Not in a place of debauchery. Not in this location or that location. There is no bed. Or the owner of the bed is unknown. Everyone understand this? So this is an example of how this hadith is totally misunderstood. And in most cases, it comes from someone who just read the hadith, or who heard it, or he was listening to the tape instead of with the eggs, right? Eating the eggs in the morning with the shake. Everybody clear on this or not? And there are many other problems of people being self-taught and not having the proper understanding and the proper knowledge, the proper respect, and the proper humility. Now, that does not mean that someone who's self-taught is ignorant. There may be someone who's self-taught who's a better speaker than someone who's taught. He may read more than this one reads. He may be more diligent. He may be a harder worker than this one. So it doesn't mean that. So a brother who's self-taught, but he's actually has the proper recitation somehow, some way. He had to come across somebody, no doubt. No matter how self-taught you are, you cannot have that level unless you came across someone and they helped you and you fixed it. There's a must. I don't understand this or not. Somehow or some way. So you're self-taught, you go make umrah, and you're there with the sheikh and you read to him. But the problem comes in not knowing your limitations. How can you be the imam of a masjid and you never formally studied anywhere? Can you explain that, Abu Sa'id? How can you be the leader of a community and you never formally studied nowhere? And then you say, I follow the Salaf. Okay, well the Salaf was Salih, what did they do? So when you say this person's a Hizbi or a deviant, we say, no, rather what? You're the deviant, you're the Hizbi. You're not following the Salaf or Salih. In this one issue, just like me, supposedly I'm not following them in what? An issue. So what's the difference now? The Salaf, what were they upon? What did they do? How long did they travel and go and seek ilm? What did Sufyan al-Thawri say? What did Imam Ahmed say? What did Imam Malik say? How many people gave me permission to give fatwa in Medina? That's the kalam of the Salaf. I'm a jahil, I don't know anything, but I'm a leader of a whole community of people. I separate people, I marry people, I do this, I talk about others. That's scary. And there's no respect for knowledge. So if you're self-taught, you were too old to go to school, you couldn't go, you were sick, your grandfather, whatever, at least have humility. And if you are the imam of a masjid or the leader of people, alhamdulillah for that. But at least know your what? Your limitations, and do not show hatred and jealousy and envy to those who have studied longer or actually studied and you haven't. That's the problem, guys. There's a balance. There's a what? It's a balance. Let alone the fact that when it keeps happening. If you make a flyer, these are the brothers that are supposed to speak at this event. It's 8 brothers on the flyer. 6 out of the brothers never formally studied, or they dropped out of school. This one dropped out of the language program, right? And then he lied to get back into the language program, and he talks about, said his tongue is moist. Waliyadu billah. His tongue is dry. Talking about ahlul bid'ah, But you didn't even graduate from the language program. SubhanAllah. If it was me, wallahi, I would be ashamed to open my face. I wouldn't talk about nobody. And then the 3rd brother on the flyer, he never studied nowhere. Then the 4th, he was in Egypt for a month. And then the 5th, he went to Medina and dropped out. 6 people out of 8 people on the flyer never finished any formal studies. Something is wrong. As far as there are 8 brothers, this brother, he studied a little bit. He benefited himself. He's a good speaker. Tayyib, mashi, labas. But not 4 out of 6 or 6 out of 8, 7 out of 8. Something is what? Extremely wrong. And that's what we meant by that. And Allah knows best. Fadl akhi.
What is the correct manner someone should show if, say, he's talking to someone, say someone else says salam to him, should continue his conversation?
If someone gives you salams and you're talking?
If you're talking to someone, and then someone else...
Clear. If that person gave you the salam specifically, then you return the salams to them. The ulama of Islam, they say, returning the salams is fard kifaya. If the salams are given to a group of people, then one person has to return the salams. As far as if you yourself are giving the salams and no one else, then that's a different story. So if it's a group of people that you give salams to and you don't want to stop talking, you're quoting a hadith, continue. As far as if they give you the salam specifically, then take a brief moment, pause, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and go back to your conversation. Inshallah. And Allah knows best. Tafadhal Khalid.
This is J.A. from Philadelphia. Assalamu alaikum. Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, those who add extensions to their hair have been cursed. There's the style that women have, which is adding yarn to their hair to make it look longer. It's not a weave. Would this fall into the category of extensions?
Wa alaikum assalam. Question comes from Philly. With regards to the Prophet ﷺ statement, the woman be cursed who extends her hair or extends someone else's hair. There's a style in which women put yarn in their hair for the purpose of making their hair look longer or having a different style or different texture. Is this included in that hadith, etc.? In brief, I consider the usage of yarn in a woman's hair to be haram. And I consider it to be included in that hadith. That's the view that I adopt from the views of the ulama of al-Islam. There's very long discussion, a fiqh discussion, with regards to extending hair. And those ulama who say, or the view that says that a woman can put yarn in her hair is a valid view. It's a view of people of knowledge. Ulama, they took this view. They took this view with regards to a woman putting yarn in her hair. So it's not like it's a totally made up opinion, an opinion that's totally false and bogus, as other opinions are. I don't feel that that's the correct view. I feel that there's no need to put yarn in your hair. There are so many different styles and braids and ways that a woman can adorn herself and beautify herself, right? Without putting anything in her hair. Now, the ulama who hold the view that a woman is allowed to use yarn, Abu Sa'id, or allowed to put in different types of hair. And we don't want to open up a can of worms now, but this is a reality. Those who may take different views about a woman putting in hair, whether it's human hair, horse hair, a different color, it's clear that it is in her hair. She does it for her husband. Her husband knows that she has short hair. They put conditions. And from those conditions that some of the fuqaha mention is that it should be clear that it isn't the woman's hair. Whether it's the color or the style, but it shouldn't be thought that that's her actual hair, the yarn. Everyone understand this? So I'm sure the sisters who do this, and that's a whole entire world. We're talking about hair and beauty and beautification and adornment. I'm sure they have different ways in which they determine and how they use the yarn, etc. I wouldn't advise with it, me personally. But that's the view of many of the ulama of al-Islam. What's important is, there's nothing wrong with beautifying yourself, But I think that oftentimes the shaitan tricks us for us to be displeased with our appearances. And it happens all around the board. It's not just a black and a white thing. It happens all around the board. People with really thick lips, they want thin lips. People with really thin lips, they want thick, full lips. Okay? People that are women or men, but we're talking about women that have full bodies, buxom, whatever. However, they want to be thin and skinny. Skinny women want to gain weight. Women that are dark want to be light. Women that are light, they sit in the sun for hours and bake their skin to look darker. And being pale is looked down upon, etc. Oftentimes people are displeased with how Allah created them. Allah gave you short hair, and He gave this one long hair. Alhamdulillah, be pleased with what He gave you. There are so many different styles that a woman can do if she has short hair. Braids, oftentimes from the most beautiful things that a woman can do with her hair. What's the problem? Why do you have to use yarn? You don't have to. Short hair is not a bad thing. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And oftentimes there are women who may have very thin hair or fine hair that want to get braids, but they can't because it's too thin and it falls apart, and they are upset. Say, I wish I had coarse, thick, nappy hair to have braids, or vice versa. So be pleased with what Allah has given you. And the concept of the beauty or the cosmetic industry, that's a very whole long discussion in itself. And the shaitan, he uses these things, Revlon and all these things, to play tricks on you. And to get you to look at yourself as being ugly. I'm tall, I'm supposed to be short. I'm short, I'm too short to be a model. I have to get my skin bleached. I have to get a tan. I have to get fake this. I have to get this enhanced. Be pleased with what Allah has given you. And Allah knows best.
Next question says, initials AK from Toronto, Ontario. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. What's the best approach to explain to someone who says, why can't I believe in three gods and you believe in one, as long as no one hurts each other?
Wa alaikum assalam. So the question comes from Toronto. What's the best approach to say to someone, why can't I believe in three gods and you believe in one, as long as no one hurts no one and everyone gets along, etc.? There's nothing wrong with that. As long as you live in Toronto, tafaddal. You can believe whatever you want to believe in. You'll die, so will I. We'll stand in front of what we believe in. That's it. You have your deen, I have mine. If you want to know what my deen is, you want to know who I worship, you want to know why I'm a Muslim, then I'll tell you and I invite you to that, and the door is wide open. If you want to believe in other gods or deities or spirits, that's what? I can't force you. La ikraha fi deen. There's no coercion in the religion. We're not on the battlefield. It's not jihad fi sabilillah. It's not a Muslim country, an Islamic state. Tafadhal. I can't force you into that. And alhamdulillah, you not being a Muslim, and you want to be peaceful and respectful to other faiths and other people and not cause violence, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Because we live in a time in which people are fanatical. And history teaches us so many things. And from the things that we learn from history is the harm and the danger of fanaticism in the name of religion. Extremism in the name of religion. How many wars were fought? How many people were killed? Nations decimated because of what people called their religion. And they were fighting for money. They were fighting for politics. They ravaged nations under the name of the good cross or the good book. Okay? So the concept of violence, senseless violence, killing people, slaughtering people, just because they differ with you theologically, that's a problem. In the past, there was a problem, and it's a problem now. It's a problem now. At the end of the day, Islam is not an option. Okay? You have to tell people that those who know about Islam, so I feel it's a good religion, but you know, it's not an option. Once you know about it and it's clear to you, you don't have an option. You're required to serve the one who made you, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you have to serve him in the way in which he intended. And that is only through submission with tawheed and mutaba'ah. Everyone clear on this? And Allah knows best. Let alone the fact that, what sense does it make to have three gods or one God? Your heart can be more devoted to three things or one thing. Which of the two? If it's a woman, ask her, would you rather your husband have two other girlfriends on the side, or two other wives, or just you? What she's going to say? Without question. That's one household, right? One household that you come home to. One set of bills. One estate, one piece of inheritance. One love, one children, one bloodline. Is that simpler or 2 other households? Why not have one? It doesn't make sense. Allah knows best.
Next question says, Mustafa H, Newcastle, UK. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. How should one get married if they're not financially stable?
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah from Newcastle? Newcastle, UK. Should one get married if they're not financially stable? Yes and no. They should and they shouldn't. From one aspect, getting married is a means of getting Allah's sustenance. Getting married is a means of receiving Allah's sustenance. As Imam Ahmad rahimahullah ta'ala said, يَنْبَغِي لِلرَّجُلِ أَنْ يَتَزَوَّجَ وَأَنْ يَتَعَفَّفْ أو كما قال. One day he said to one of his students, he says a man should get married and a man should be pious and chaste. So the man said, "Ya Aba Abdullah, how can he get married if he has a wife already? Take on another wife. What about, the sustenance?" So he asked the man, he says, "Do you provide for yourself with one wife? Do you provide for yourself with one wife?" Obviously the Muslim is going to say what? No. So what's the difference of what? 2 and 3 and 4. Allah is the one who gives you rizq. And the ulama of Islam, they say that there are certain responsibilities that you take on which force you to be more responsible, or to work more, or to be more wise with your wealth. And oftentimes getting married is a means of barakah, and a means of the rizq coming to you from means which you may not realize. Through means which you may not what? Realize. So just look at it like this. A young brother, he gets married. He doesn't have a stable job, but he's a good young brother. He's in the masjid. He's trying to do good with himself, and he wants to avoid zina. He wants to get married. How long is it going to take if he's a good young brother before he gets a job? And he's offered a job. Here, come join my union. I'm a plumber. I'm this, I'm that. It's not but so far he's going to go until he has to realize that he must get married and take care of this woman. Fadl. As far as if a brother says, "I'm not ready to get married yet. Right in hand, I'm going to finish school. And inshallah, I'm going to get a job. And I'm going to do this. And I'm going to move out. And kada." So oftentimes the best way to learn how to swim is to do what? To be thrown into the water. Oftentimes. But that doesn't mean that a person is to be irresponsible and reckless. If you're a grown man or you're a young man, it's nothing wrong with you not having a job. If there's a reason why you don't have a job. I'm trying to finish school now. Or I'm going overseas. Or I just got injured. But if you be a grown man, 18, 19, 20, 21, you're not seeking knowledge, you're not married, you're not doing this, and you have no livelihood, I wouldn't marry you to my daughter. Evident. There's no way I would marry you to my daughter. I wouldn't even consider marrying you to my daughter because something isn't right. While a grown man does have no source of income, period. Something isn't right. It doesn't mean you have to be a millionaire. Wallahi, there are brothers who sell oils and incense and perfume. They work, they go out there, they sell these things. That's better than someone who has a brain or has muscles or has good looks and he does nothing whatsoever. So the concept of Islam does not support recklessness and irresponsibility. You have to take care of your wife. Those who have the ability to do so should do so. But there is a balance. You don't have to have $1 million saved in the account to get married. You don't have to have the biggest, fattest degree to get married. Doesn't mean that. You don't have to know the entire Sahih Bukhari to get married. Everyone understand this? So there is a balance. And Allah knows best.
Next question. AA from London, UK. Can a man with long hair up to his shoulders tie his hair into a man bun?
Question comes from where? What part of the UK?
London.
London. Can a man with hair down to his shoulders tie his hair up into a masculine man bun? Tie it. What? That's the question, right? La bas. It's okay. At the end of the day, as we have explained before, the general rule about hairstyles in Islam is that they're permissible until clearly proven to be impermissible. Hairstyles are permissible until proven from Quran, from Sunnah, from Ijma' to be impermissible or disliked. So we have the general rule that a man can have long hair, and we have specific proofs that a man can have what? Long hair. How long can that hair be? Is it past the shoulders? Anything past the shoulders is girly. Anything to the shoulders and between the earlobes is manly? Can we say that? Do we have proof for that? Are there not men who have longer hair that conduct themselves like men? That are rough and tough, warriors, killers? And then aren't there men who have shorter hair that are feminine and girly-like? So we have to be mindful. We have a general rule, and they're being dominated and specified by culture. We have to be careful. We have to be careful. So if we have a specific text stating that a man cannot have hair past his shoulders, there's nothing to say. Unless we try to understand and interpret the hadith, but it's no fighting at that time. If we don't have that specific proof, and it goes back to the generality, then it's going to vary from culture to culture. So there's certain cultures men wear ponytails, and that's fine, and they're not feminine men. They're known to be masculine men. There's certain cultures in which men may have a hair bun, and it's not looked down as being a feminine thing, a girly thing. Me personally, I wouldn't advise with a man having a hair bun. If there's a different type of style that I've never seen, but the concept of a hair bun, I wouldn't advise with it. Ponytail, la best. If a brother said, Mufti, what do you think about a ponytail? Fadal. If that's your style, bismillah. Braids, plaits, bismillah. Fadal. Cornrows, alhamdulillah. 2 plaits on the side, fadal. But a hair bun, I don't know about that. But that doesn't mean that it's disliked or haram, based off of what I just mentioned. What's important is that the style does not go against something specifically proven by text. Number 2 is that the style does not go against the general principles, clearly going against those principles. Number 3 is how you wear it and rock it. There are men who have bald heads that are gay. And there are men with long hair that are what? We said what? Road dog, hitmen, warriors. Never seen, but always what? Always felt. So it depends on how you wear it. Just like we said about colors, right? We explained this. This is a very important concept now. About what? Colors. Right now you're wearing black. Anyone who sees you clearly sees that you're a man. You have on black. And a woman could wear white. And it's worn in a way, a style, a fabric, a contoured design, and which is clearly proven to be for what? Women. That's why wearing red in Islam is not haram for men, nor is it disliked. But it's the style of the red, the type of the red, the shade of the red. Everyone understand this? Then if you had on all black and it was skin tight, and it had some lace on it, that's a different story. Everyone clear on this? And the same applies to a man wearing red, and it's clearly a garment for what? For a man, and not for a woman. These are very important rules, guys. And many of us, we make confusion regarding these rules. And they can save you from a lot of difference of opinion and a lot of disarray and these fiqh issues. And Allah knows best.
Next question. AA from London, UK. Assalamu alaikum. What's your advice for one who wants to go abroad to study, but they want to get married first? Also some tips on some issues which may come up abroad, etc. Sleep issues. Examples, sleep issues.
All right, this will be our last question tonight. As far as should you get married first or should you go overseas first, then once more, it depends. If you already have some knowledge under your belt and you need to get married, you want to get married, bismillah, get married. If you have no knowledge under your belt whatsoever, getting married, no matter how righteous and pious your wife is, no matter how studious your wife is, it's going to take away from your time because your wife has rights upon you. There are times in which your wife does not want the sheikh. She wants her husband. Like children. I come home to my children. There is no sheikh mufti. Mufti Q&A. La. They want to do what, Abdul Qawi? Want to have fun. Abby, let us jump on your back. Take us here. Let's go get ice cream. So I may say, I want to study. I want to read. It's their haq now to do what? For me to be Abby. There is no next question. So therefore, if you have something under your belt, and you want to get married, you need to get married, then that's one thing. If you have nothing under your belt, then perhaps it's best to wait 3 months, wait 6 months, wait a year, get something, memorize some juz of the Quran, memorize a couple books. That way when you get married, it's not going to totally devastate and decimate you and take you away from benefiting at all. Everyone understand this? As far as if you're afraid of falling to zina, then of course get married. Going overseas and seeking knowledge is not obligatory. protecting your private part from the fire of hell is what? Obligatory. And it depends on where you're going to go study. Whether you give a visa to your wife or your wife be at home. Is your wife a trooper? Or is she someone that's going to complain? Huh? This is a reality, guys. So once, some years back, before I got married, there was a sister that I was interested in. Right? This is a true story now. It's a long, deep story. I was real young, I would say. Sister I was interested in, right? So, I'll tell you the whole story if you want. Tell you. So I was really young, right? And it was a sister that I saw. So I asked her, are you married? So basically, the sister, she was like, no, I'm not married. So I was like, what's up? Who's your wali? Give me the digits, your father or whatever. So, if my memory serves me correctly, I think she was like, she was like fronting, as we say. All right, no problem. So later on, through some investigative work, investigative reports, an older brother that I was working for at the time knew her father. So the older brother says, listen, brother such and such asked about your daughter. He's like, yeah, really, seriously? He's like, oh, come on, sure, I would love for him to marry my daughter. So we end up going over to brother's house. I sat down with the sister. She was interested in everything. She's like, oh, well, I was shy that day that you asked me, blah, 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 blah. So we're talking. It's a true story now. So everything's good. I'm interested in the sister. She's interested in me. She says, so what are your plans in life? What do you want to do? I said, I want to go overseas and I want to go study. As soon as I finish high school, I'm out of here. She said, oh, yeah? Where you want to go? I said, Saudi Arabia. She's like, what? Where? Isn't that a desert? Don't they have camels and donkeys there? And I can't go there. I can't live there. They don't have no malls. They don't have this. They don't have that. So on and so forth. That was the first and last what? Sit down that I had with the sister. Point proven. That's not the same as another sister who says, I want to go with you. Take me. I want to study with you. I'll be patient upon not having money, not having food. It's a word of a difference what type of woman you marry. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ, he told us, ad-dunya mata'. He says the worldly life is a means of outfitting, a means of provision. And another translation, another way of translating the hadith is an enjoyment. Mata' can mean enjoyment, it can also mean outfitting. He says, وَخَيْرُ مَتَاعِهَا الْمَرَةُ الصَّالِحَةُ. And the best of the provisions of this dunya, or the best enjoyment of this dunya is a what? A righteous wife. So it depends on what woman you're trying to marry. Someone that has that vision and has the sabr, that may help you. Someone that's going to hold you back and is complaining about being overseas. She wants dunya. I want to visit my parents every 2 months, every 3 months. This food is nasty. The mall is too small. I want to do this. I want to do that. No. And Allah Azza wa Jalla surely knows best. As far as what are some of the things that can happen when you go overseas, then the first rule is never to be afraid of death or injury. We explained this in the Deadly 7, 5 minutes of Faidah last summer. Never be afraid of what? Death or injury. If you're scared of getting cut or scratched or hurt when you go overseas, you shouldn't go overseas. You got to put your trust in Allah and be fearless. That's the only way that you can succeed. And Allah knows best. Jazakumullahu khairan. As we said, that's the last question. Sallallahu alaihi wa sallam wa barak ala abdihi wa rasulihi nabina wa imamina Muhammad.